Welcome back to your live coverage of Microsoft Ignite. I'm Joey Snow alongside my co-host Rick Claus, and if you are on the live stream, stay right here because we have a bunch of programs happening, and we'll just kick it off with our guests, Mary Jo Foley, Paul Thurrott. Welcome.
Thank you.
I want to take this back to, let's bring it back to the everyday person, your readers, and what they're going to be reading.
Yep.
And what are you going to be writing specifically after this keynote and what you just saw from the Vision keynote with Satya?
Wow, there was so much there, which I loved. I love that they did a lot of demos and actually talked about products in the keynote, yes. But for me, of all those things, I think the hybrid 2.0 strategy that Microsoft is talking about is very interesting with Azure Arc.
Yep. So let's dive into that a little bit. What are some of those top line items in Azure Arc that you've highlighted out or you'll be speaking about into your podcast as you move forward?
So one thing is a lot of things are getting rebranded, right, as part of this. So you have to pay attention to the new name for Azure Stack, which is Azure Stack Hub.
Correct.
Azure Stack Databox Edge is now Azure Stack Edge. Look at me remembering this. And Azure Arc is the name for the all-up strategy where Microsoft is telling customers they can manage their on-premises and edge and other services in other clouds, all from Azure.
That's the big one to me. I mean, Microsoft has always had that strength in hybrid computing, right, which its competitors can't really match. But now they're talking about managing other clouds from within Azure.
Yeah,
it's huge.
With Microsoft Arc, the interesting part of being able to bring in different clouds in different places, as well as your own on-premises environment. The one Azure Stack piece that you didn't talk about is actually one that's near and dear to my heart, which is the Azure Stack HCI.
Right.
To be able to have high-performance VMs inside your environment. Have you heard or have you been talking at all on your podcast at all about people using the new HCI solution?
You know, it's hard to get a lot of enterprise content in on Windows Weekly.
I feel like we were just pitched.
But I agree that Azure HCI is huge. And in fact, when I was looking at the session list here, there are so many sessions about that.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting about it is it kind of lets you, from on-premises, connect to Azure, right?
Correct.
So that's, for many people, kind of like the gateway drug to getting into Azure, right?
It's really around that hybrid story.
It is.
And being able to have that enterprise piece
right.
Scale all the way out. Now I want to talk a little bit the ruggedized box. I mean, we no longer have to fold servers to put it into the official Microsoft backpack.
It'll fit just fine.
I think it will. That backpack is huge.
Yeah, they're saying it's like, what, 10 pounds as the approximate size for that, but it brings the compute power down right and closest to where the data happens to be in your on-premises world or elsewhere it happens to be. The part that was very interesting as well, we were chatting here earlier on, was with regards to Cortex.
Right.
The concept of being able to, for me, the best part, being able to go in and to have the power of having your acronyms explained for you.
I want that.
I actually think this was, in some ways, the biggest announcement from my perspective, from sort of a client perspective. And it's also a kind of a modern cloud-based, AI-based extension of like the smart tags work from 15 years ago probably. And I just think that kind of thing is so smart. And that combined with some of the Power App stuff is just, it's like the fully automated workplace. It's fascinating.
So let's dive into the Power Apps pieces. We were talking before, that's something that you're really keen on.
Yeah.
What did you see here, or what is being extended on some of the things that you really like about the
I mean,
Power
so
Apps?
like Mary Jo said earlier about some of the Azure services, some rebranding going on, right? So Flow has become Power Automation, that we've got Power Virtual Agents, which are kind of an extension of things that we had before, but just an expansion of that platform. And the big new thing for me, like I said, was that combination of the Power Apps and the Microsoft 365. I'm forgetting the name of it now. Project Cortex, sorry.
Project Cortex,
There's been a rebranding.
It happens. It's okay. It's all right. It's minutes old.
We can't
is.
talk.
It's minutes
I
old.
know, right?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is just, that's going to be my focus. My personal focus this week is going to be Power Apps. But now that, of course, now with Cortex, I'm
Right.
Are you rethinking?
I came into this thinking this is all Power Apps.
So
it's fascinating.
So you guys have been around a while. This isn't your first Ignite rodeo, perhaps.
Not our first rodeo.
No, not the first rodeo.
So when I saw the Project Cortex stuff, I remembered way back to when SharePoint was talking about adding a knowledge management portal.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? That was like years ago.
Yeah.
And it never really came to fruition, but when I saw this, I was like, this is it.
Right.
In a way, except with a lot more AI, a lot more cognitive services added, a lot more automation than it would have had several years ago. And it's all because of the Microsoft Graph.
So do you think that is probably going to be the driver to its success, is the fact that it kind of reduces some of those barriers that we had in the past and trying to collect all of that and really process it?
I do. When we heard about it before, it was kind of like, yeah, we're going to introduce some cards and SharePoint and have smart sites, but this is so much more than that because of all the different connectors you're going to be able to have to external content as well. So it's not just what's in your SharePoint libraries, it's what's outside too in other services.
And then we wrapped up with talking about the future of the web, and in the minute and a half that we have here left, that combining again, and
actually that's an extension of the same conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's this automation for the user, for the employee, of work data in a way that's just seamless and familiar, and it's just really smart. I mean, Microsoft and others have spent a lot of time trying to bring web results down to the desktop, but bringing we call them enterprise results up to the web actually makes a lot more sense. It's a very natural experience. So you sign in with your Azure AD, you search for a person, a job, a skill, whatever it is, and yeah, you're going to get web results, but you're going to get the results from within, basically from the Microsoft Graph surface right in the browser. It's smart.
Absolutely. And then just a brief touch, Satya just kind of touched on some of the security aspects.
Right.
And again, that goes right back to that modern workplace story.
It does.
It's that combined of everything, Azure AD to the threat protection and the devices, which you have a nice shiny new device there.
The Surface Laptop 3.
It's awfully sandstone-y looking.
It is.
All right, so with just a few minutes left, or just a few seconds left, we are going to have an extended interview with you, possibly available on demand, but everybody else who is sitting there watching, Jason Zander?
Jason Zander's coming up, yes, is one of the next tech keynotes that's going to be available here. Right. Plus you can also go off and choose different tech keynotes from the player if you are registered on Tech Communities to see any one of them live streamed as they go.
So you've got an entire day of Microsoft Ignite content. So it's time to switch over to our technical keynotes. We'll be live streaming through the day. We'll catch you later. Mary Jo, Paul, thank you.
Thank you.